Tonight, sales surprise the preferred bidder Trump to British firm to take ownership of Arrium. What it means for the Steel City and the region after over a year of uncertainty.
This is Southern Cross News with Tim Hatfield.
Good evening. Deal done. After 555 days, the future of the Whyalla Steelworks has been finalised, with a new owner secured this morning. But it's not gone how it was expected to go, with British steelmaker Liberty House securing a last-minute deal after Korean firm POSCO's exclusive negotiating period expired on Friday. The news has been met with relief in Whyalla as the city now prepares for some stability.
Arrium's administration has felt like a soap opera over the last 15 months, so it's only fitting there was a final plot twist. Liberty House's GFC Alliance has won the race to take over the company after securing a deal last night.
The company themselves are pledging to retain all of the workforce at the Whyalla Steelworks and promising to invest.
And it looks like we've got a new owner that is willing to invest in modernising the steelworks, which is something that is essential.
Korean steelmaker POSCO was named the preferred bidder last month and looks set to take over. However, their exclusive negotiation period expired on Friday, and with them asking for more time, Liberty swooped in. Member for Grey, Rowan Ramsey, says we shouldn't be worried about the change, as Liberty is still a good deal.
They've gone into exactly this type of plant and put them back on the map, and they also bring mining experience.
For workers, it's the end of over 3 years of uncertainty since the decline in commodity prices in 2014. The union says workers can now get back to some form of normality.
It's a great reward for the workers and the people here in Whyalla for the sacrifices they've made to get to this point.
The news was one of the better phone calls Mayor Lynn Brewer has taken.
They have saved steelworks in the UK and other countries. They have a mining history also, so very confident.
And the Chamber of Commerce hopes it'll boost the mood of consumers and businesses.
What it now does is it changes the level of uncertainty in the community to show that positivity and that people will now move forward.
Sign-off from the Foreign Investment Review Board and final creditor approval are still needed, with August 31 being targeted as the handover date. And then Liberty will be the new owner, investing in Whyalla so the events of the last 15 months never happen again. John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
And Arrium's sale announcement has been met with positive responses from the rest of the Iron Triangle as well. Leaders from Port Augusta and Port Pirie have sent their congratulations to Whyalla and believe this will bring more stability and investment into the entire region.
The region's response to Arrium's sale announcement is unanimous. After over a year of waiting for the news, mayors from Port Pirie and Port Augusta say Whyalla finally has a clear future.
It really gives that confidence and reinsurance we've been looking for some time. Whether it's Liberty or POSCO, the reality is that there's a buyer.
The feeling is that local businesses will directly benefit from the steelworks.
That works right across the region in terms of supporting, we've had manufacturers here in Port Pirie that also service Whyalla, so there will be a positive impact for them.
Federal Labor's manufacturing spokesperson says the British buyer has a good track record.
It's a group which has good relationships with its employees, and most importantly here it has a global supply network which will allow Arrium and the Whyalla Steelworks to really sell more steel into a global supply chain.
And Senator Nick Xenophon said in Canberra today he'll now be pushing for better procurement rules.
We cannot have billions of dollars worth of infrastructure unless it involves using Australian steel. Our procurement rules in some states are very weak.
And the mayors say Arrium's security means a better outlook for investment in the region.
It means that there's not that depressive sort of feeling within the region either, that we can actually move forward in a positive way.
Everyone's rolled up the sleeves and everyone's had a very vested interest in the people in Whyalla, and now we can actually get on with a happy solution and get on with a bright future.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
To other news now, and Port Lincoln has received an upgrade to its SA government radio network used by state emergency services across the region. Men working 50 metres above ground installed the new radio, braving heights and the elements to update the vital network.
It was Port Lincoln's darkest hour. The 2016 September blackouts wreaked havoc on the region, but amazingly, during the city's most testing time, not one death or injury was recorded. When everything else failed, there was one beacon of light that kept emergency services connected, their radio network.
In the storms and extended power outages last year, the GRN was probably the only communication system that was operating in a lot of areas, including Port Lincoln.
The government radio network is the largest radio system in the world and a vital tool to keeping emergency services in touch.
For first responders and those people that are supporting them, it's considered to be one of the most critical tools for them to be safe themselves, but also to help other people that are in need or in dire straits.
This week, Port Lincoln's essential GRN underwent an important upgrade as part of the state's $175 million project to swap to a digital network, allowing all users to benefit from the new technology.
It's quite unique in the context that it's not just the police, ambulance and emergency services that use it, but a number of other agencies that provide essential services.
Workers spent the week high above the ground, replacing the old equipment, giving new voice to Port Lincoln's most valuable lifeline.
The voice radio will be going to a full digital standard that should provide much higher quality of clarity of audio, if you like, over the radio.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
New data from an Australia-wide illicit drug report shows South Australian illegal drug seizures have had the highest proportion of amphetamines. Drugs like ice and speed have seen the greatest percentage increase in South Australia, which experts say highlights the need for more law enforcement. The data shows that 67% of illicit drug seizures were attributed to methamphetamines amid efforts in the region to stem their use. Well, stay with us. Still to come in tonight's local news, Broken Hill artists expanding their work across the Silver City. The details as part of the Desert Equinox coming up next. Welcome back. We're taking a look at how things are shaping up when we head to the Bowser, and it's been a mixed bag of results this week. After last week's downward trend across the board, some places are starting to see their prices go back up. Here's Patrick with this week's Fuel Watch.
Up, down and about the same. That is the story when we take a look at this week's fuel prices. Starting with unleaded, and Port Pirie is the only one in the Gulf to see some red. The price is now back up to $1.19. Port Augusta is still hovering on $1.25, and Whyalla now joins them after dropping 4 cents last week. Port Lincoln is half a cent cheaper and sits on $1.27, while here in the Silver City we're now down to $1.25. Adelaide's incredible run of cheap petrol is over, the price jumping up a massive 24 cents. To diesel now, and again Port Pirie is on its way up, the price now $1.22 a litre. Port Augusta and Broken Hill are the only ones to see no movements. Whyalla is up by almost a cent, while Port Lincoln continues to decline. Adelaide rounds out the board with a minor change, the price still around $1.20. So a bit of unpredictability as we come into July. Now remember, these prices are the regional averages, and they do not reflect any one particular outlet. If you happen to find a spot that does sell it for cheaper, drop us a line on our Facebook page. Tim.
Thanks, Pat. Port Pirie locals are being advised that Mary Ellie Street will be partially closed during the upcoming school holidays. Pedestrians and vehicles won't have the ability to travel all the way through the road as works on the new sports precinct continue.
Construction work to upgrade the stormwater system underneath Mary Ellie Street will see the road partially closed for nearly 3 weeks.
The road will be closing on Friday the 7th of July by about 5 o'clock in the evening after school closes, and it will be open again by Monday the 24th of July. All works are being done during the school holidays.
Mary Ellie Street will be blocked off right out the front of the Lions club room and swimming pool, meaning locals will only have partial access to the street and won't be able to travel all the way through it.
The road will be closed to through traffic, both for vehicles and pedestrians.
But you will still be able to enter the Lions Club room and TAFE SA by accessing Mary Ellie Street from the terrace. And if you need to access John Pirie Secondary School or the gymnasium, you will need to access from Gertrude Street. And to minimise disruptions to locals, SA Power Networks will begin their work on installing mains power supply for the new sports precinct at the same time.
We've tried to tie the works together to reduce the impact and do the works during school holidays.
Council scheduled the work to be done during the holiday period to reduce any disruptions to school traffic. And between this time, there will be no through access between the terrace and the intersection of Mary Ellie Street and Gertrude Street because a fence will be put up for the upgrade of the underground stormwater crossing. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
A Whyalla Primary School is after donations of blankets and scarves to help an Indigenous community in the state's far north. Nicholson Avenue Primary School is holding a blanket and quilt drive with the donations to be sent to Amateur in the AP Whylands, which suffers from severe cold nights during the winter. The drive has been boosted by Beyond Bank, which is also raising funds at its Whyalla branches to buy new quilts. Locals have until the end of the week to donate, with the school to hold a function on Friday to send them away.
If you got any blankets or beanies, drop it off to Nicholson Avenue Primary School. We're only fundraising for 1 week.
The community of Amateur, the blankets have been really well received, so yeah, we're really proud of the response.
An Adelaide artist has started work on a commemorative mural on the wall of the Outback Lodge in Broken Hill. Lisa King says the design of the mural pays tribute to the man who built the very house she's painting on and honours the legacy he left behind.
Up from the big smoke and paying tribute to a local legend.
She is doing a fantastic mural on the wall of one of the businesses here in Broken Hill to celebrate its history and also the person who built the building.
Lisa King's mural pays tribute to the legacy of Dr McGilvery, a medical practitioner who moved to Broken Hill in 1901. He built the house which is now the Outback Lodge for his first wife, and he was an avid ornithologist.
Quite historical to Broken Hill, so I thought rather than being quite literal and painting a picture of him that I'd paint a picture of his daughter with some birds.
Lisa hopes to be finished by Sunday. The mural coincides with the Desert Equinox Prelude, which is a city-wide art exhibition which challenges artists to create works connected to different elemental themes. This prelude had an earth theme.
There are 31 artworks throughout the city. This is the beauty of the Desert Equinox. It's a whole of community project. So businesses are coming on board and they're contributing by allowing us to actually invite guest artists like Lisa King to the city to produce artworks like this.
For more information on the Desert Equinox, contact the Broken Hill Art Exchange. Patrick Roinke, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us. When we return after the break, a special look at how NAIDOC Week is being commemorated and celebrated across the region. The details ahead. Welcome back. Well, now to a special look at how NAIDOC Week is being marked across the region. And first to Port Pirie, Risdon Park Primary School has celebrated with a special performance from one of Australia's most experienced Indigenous international performers, Dion Drummond. The interactive performance had the students singing and dancing in their seats while they learnt about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture.
Risdon Park Primary School holds Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture close to its heart, celebrating NAIDOC Week each year.
Value our Aboriginal kids at the school, and we really want to bring Aboriginal culture to the school and celebrate it.
And this year the school had a visit from Indigenous storyteller Dion Drummond.
It's very important right throughout Australia to celebrate NAIDOC Week. Brings awareness to the wider community of the first people of this country.
Students learnt about Aboriginal and Torres Strait heritage through song and dance and storytelling to actively engage them.
Important that we all learn song and dance, language. By learning all these things, with our song and dance, we understand our stories. With our language, that also identifies us, gives us our identity, so we know who we are, where we come from.
And students had an overwhelming feeling of pride, honoured to join the cultural celebrations.
Happy to learn about more of my culture.
We were proud and happy about the performance today.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
And crowds gathered outside the Port Augusta Hospital this morning. As part of NAIDOC Week, a local Bangala man conducted the Welcome to Country to kick off events for the day, including a barbecue, awards and visits from former AFL stars. The crowd saw dance performances from the local Dusty Feet mob and heard from several members of the Aboriginal community to talk about this year's NAIDOC theme, Our Language Matters.
What I've been using as Bangla is Nina Yua. Nina Yua means, are you good? So I think that runs, you can just greet people, hey, how are you? Are you good? You know, Nina, you are?
And Port Lincoln celebrated today with a family cookout at Mallee Park Football Club with traditional foods. The treat for the taste buds, highlighting and celebrating Indigenous culture by sharing the history and achievements with new generations.
It's an important week that brings everyone together. Indigenous Australians sharing their culture and history for the next generation through language, stories and food.
People may not understand it or know what it's about, so to be able to share it with them and give them a better understanding is really important.
Today's cookout at the Mallee Park Wombat Pit identifies the importance of Indigenous communities throughout this region.
It's such an important week. It's an important week for the Aboriginal community, but it's a really important week for the wider community to get involved and be a part of being able to share culture, community, and today's all about food.
This year's theme, Our Language Matters, celebrates the significance of cultural connection to the surrounding land. The family cookout, supported by community groups, aims to pass on vital information and history through a traditional setting.
Coming and sharing their culture and sharing as a community and sharing a meal and just getting together and talking around a fire.
Schools from across the region will visit the Wombat Pit today, learning about the Indigenous culture as well as tasting some traditional foods just like this kangaroo tail. The cookout, a vital step to recognising the past and celebrating the future.
Awareness and information sharing is really the key to reconciliation, and if we can all meet together in the middle to share our stories, what an amazing world we'll live in.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us. After the break, we'll have a look at how the local weather is panning out for the rest of the week and into the weekend. Welcome back to the weather. Now, a bit of a mixed bag for the region today. A fine 17 in Port Augusta, the same in Whyalla. Still lingering showers about in Port Lincoln, 18 degrees. Port Pirie, 16. Broken Hill, sunny and 17 degrees the top. On the national satellite image, patchy cloud continues moving across the region as a high pushes across northern parts of the state. Out on the Gulf waters, the winds to 20 knots to the north, the seas to 2.5 metres in southerly. Sunrise tomorrow morning is at 7:25. So tomorrow, a fine 18 for Port Augusta, 17 for Whyalla. Port Pirie also 17, but seeing some lingering showers, and similar for Port Lincoln on 18 degrees, and a fine 17 in Broken Hill. Then looking at Friday, more showers for Port Lincoln with 18, then wet into the weekend. Cleve 16 to wrap up the week, but fine and 17 in Woodner. Whyalla with a fine 17 both days as we wrap up the week and get into the weekend. The same forecast for Port Augusta. Kadina showers and 16 on Friday. Port Pirie with showers and 16 both days, just 13 degrees though for Clare. And over to Broken Hill, 16 for Friday and then 17 and fine on Saturday. And finally tonight, just because we can't get enough of it, some spectacular new footage has emerged of Friday night's meteor that passed over Port Lincoln. The footage captured through a Shield security camera clearly picks up the bright meteor as it passes overhead. But the phenomenon was seen as far north as Streaky Bay, where astronomers believe the meteor disintegrated over the water. If you happen to have missed the celestial spectacle, however, keep your eyes on the skies. Scientists say there are at least 3 meteor showers set to pass over the region in the coming weeks. I love that space stuff. If it was up to me, the show would just be space stuff. Anyway, that is the local news for this Wednesday evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow night from 6:30. I'm Tim Hadfield from the team here at Southern Cross News. Have a good evening. Good night.